These are the solutions to the SAT practice test number 1 given out by the College Board. One thing you want to make sure of when you take this test is that you know these formulas really, really well. I would suggest memorizing them. So in the first problem, it says that k is 3. That means that you want to put 3 in here. I would basically just make that a 3. Now you can put it over 1, cross multiply. So you got 3 times 3 equals 1 times x minus 1, which is just x minus 1. So 9 is x minus 1, x is 10. So the answer is D. In this next problem, I is equal to the square root of negative 1. We don't really need to know that for this problem. All we have to do is add this and this. We can actually ignore the parentheses because it's just a plus sign right here. Right there is just a plus sign. So we just go 7 plus negative 8, negative 1, 3i plus 9i is plus 12i. So the answer is just A. Problem number 3, it says that Armand sent M text messages over each hour for 5 hours. That means he sent 5 times M text messages. Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. That means he sent 4P text messages. So the answer is C. Problem number 4 is a simple linear equation problem. It says that the number of phones to be repaired is equal to 108 minus 23D, where D is the number of days left. D is the number of days that Kathy has worked this week. So if she worked 1 day, then she would have repaired 23 phones. Now, if she worked 0 days, then we would have the following equation. P equals 108 minus 23 times 0. So P is equal to 108. So if she's worked 0 days so far, then she has repaired 0 phones, leaving her with 108 phones to repair. So that means that she starts each week with 108 phones to fix. So the answer is B. In this next problem, they simply ask you to simplify this problem here. So we have to be careful because we have a negative sign, and that negative sign is going to distribute to there, and to there, effectively switching all of the signs. So we have x squared y plus negative x squared y. That's going to give me 2x squared y, which means we can toss out both of those answers right there. So now all we have to do is look at the xy squared terms, because we have an xy squared here and an xy squared here. We could also look at the y squared terms alone. And if we did that, we would see that we have negative 3y squared minus, so plus 3y squared. So we're not going to have any y squareds. So it's not that one, so it's C. Question number 6. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height age of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age. And this expression, in terms of the boy's age, basically means that h is equal to an equation with a in it. So based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? Well, if we made a 1, then the height would equal 3 times 1 plus 28.6. But if we made h 2, we'd have the same equation, 28.6. except this would be 3 more, so the answer is 3. Now this question 7, it actually looks quite difficult, but it's only designed to look difficult. It's actually quite easy. All we need to do is solve for p here. We're told that the formula gives the monthly payment, needed to pay off a loan of $p at R%. None of that matters. All they're asking us to do is solve for p. When you solve for p, you just have to take this gigantic fraction and multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of it, which will effectively cross it off. And it will introduce this portion here as the numerator, and then we're going to have this portion here as our new denominator. So that portion is just going to go right to there. And so we're looking for this as the numerator multiplied by m, and it looks like we have it in b, and then we have this as our denominator, which used to be our numerator, so it's b. And that's all you have to do for that question. It's kind of almost a trick question. There's a very easy way to do it, even though it looks quite difficult. A over b equals 2. Well, if a over b is 2 over 1, then we can flip both sides and get b over a is equal to 1 over 2. And if we put a 4 there, we put a 4 there, and now we got 4 times a half is equal to 2. So it's 2. Now for this problem here, it's a simple linear equation, system of linear equations. And to solve that, what I would probably do is I would multiply this equation here by 3. And what that would do is give me 6y minus 3x equals, and 3 times 19 is almost 3 times 20, so it's 57, negative 57. Then what I would do is I would add this equation to that equation, which causes the 3's to disappear. So 3x plus negative 3x is gone, and then I have 4y plus 6y is 10y, and then I have negative 23 plus negative 57 is going to be negative 80. So my y is equal to negative 8. And if I trust myself, I can just pick b, because it's the only one that has negative 8 as a y value. Problem 10 tells you that g of 4 is 8, and then they ask you the value of g of negative 4. So let's go g of 4 is 8, which is going to equal a, and then we replace x with 4, plus 24. And so we don't really need that anymore. And so I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. Getting negative 16 equals a times 16. Clearly a is equal to negative 1. And so g of negative 4 is equal to negative 1 times negative 4 squared plus 24. So that's going to equal, this is 16 times negative 1, negative 16 plus 24. So that equals 8. A. Problem 11. B and C represent the price per pound of beef and chicken. That makes sense. B for beef, C for chicken. X weeks after July 1st during the last summer. What is the price per pound of beef when it was equal to the price per pound of chicken? Well, that simply means that beef is equal to chicken. So we can equate those two equations. 2.35 plus 0.25x is equal to 1.75 plus 0.40x. And with this app, I get to write off the paper. Now, if I wanted to, I could just multiply both sides of the equation by 100. And what that's going to do is clear the decimal points. So basically, I can now ignore the decimal points completely. I'm going to subtract 175 from both sides, so it's gone here. And on the left side, it's going to be 235 minus 175, that's 60. And then I'm going to do 25x subtracted from both sides. So the 25x is gone on the left. And I'm going to subtract that from 40x is 15x. And I get x is equal to 4. They want to know what is the price per pound of beef when it is equal to the price per pound of chicken. So now I can take this 4, I can put it back into x in either equation. And I think maybe the better one to choose is the first one. And so I'm going to go 2.35 plus, oh, this is easy, 0.25 times 4, and that's 335. So it's D. Number 12. A line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1/7. Which of the following points lies on the line? X, y, passes through the origin. A line passes through the origin, right there, and has a slope of 1/7. That means that the rise is equal to 1, and the run is equal to 7. And that's why the slope is 1/7. That means that we could go a run of 7 to there, and then a rise of 1 to there. So that would be 1. And that could be a point. We could also continue further along, go 7 more, and up 1 again. That means we would be at 14, and then we would be at 2 for the y value. And as you can see right here, D has 14, 2 as a point, and that is this point right here, which is definitely on the line with a slope of 1/7. Question number 13. Actually, a lot easier than it looks. One thing to remember is that one of the rules is that if you have 1 over x plus 1 over y, it just equals x plus y over xy. And so that applies to the lower part here. This is going to equal 1 over the two denominators added up. So that's going to be 2x plus 5 over the product of the denominators. And then when you rewrite this fraction, you're going to flip and multiply. So you're going to take the denominator, you're going to have those, it's going to be 1 times that product over 2x plus 5, and b is the only one that will be like that. You could also do it if you wanted, x plus 2, x plus 3, so the numerator is going to equal x squared plus 5x plus 6. Number 14 looks a little tricky. It's an exponent question, so not really too bad. What I would do is I would rewrite this as 2 cubed to the x over 2 to the y, and that's going to equal 2 to the power of 3x over 2 to the y. Now I can apply the law of exponents that says that when the bases are the same, this is the same as this, both bases are the same. That means that I'm going to subtract. It's going to be 2 to the power of this exponent minus that exponent. So this will equal 2 to the power of 3x minus y. And we are told that that is 12. And so the answer is 2 to the 12th, A. So this problem here, we're going to scribble this out so that it doesn't get in our way. What we want to do is distribute. I'm going to go ax times bx is abx, abx. Ax times 7 is 7ax. 2 times bx is plus 2bx. And then plus 14, plus 14. And we're going to combine these together. We have 7ax's and 2bx's. That means we have 7a plus 2bx's. Another way to think about it is to factor that x out, like that. And that's the x right here. And then we got our plus 14, and we have our abx. But the abx from above is 15. And we're told that a plus b is 8. That means that a has got to equal 3. And b has got to equal 5, because then they'll multiply to this 15, and they will add to this 8 right there. And so all we have to do is put this in there, that in there, because this is equal to c. So c is 7 times 3 plus 2 times 5 is 21 plus 10. And we have 41. We have 31. This is equal to 31. So this is the only one that has 31. So we choose D. Now, we probably could have also chosen a equal to 5 and b equal to 3. And in that case, what would have happened is we would have had 7 times 5 for 7a, and then 2 times 3 for 2b, and we get 35 plus 6, and that's the 41 from the problem right there. All right, grid in questions. There's some little instructions on how to grid in. Notice that you can write 2/3, you can write 0.666 or 0.667. Although I think this is probably the worst one to write. 2/3 is actually faster than writing 0.667 because you're only writing 1, 2, 3 characters. And you're only filling in 3 bubbles. Here we go. If t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 equals 0, what is the value of t? Well, I know that 4 minus 4 is equal to 0, and so then t squared has got to equal 4, which means t has got to equal 2. Of course, if we weren't given this, we could also say that t equals -2, but that cannot be an answer because of that constraint. So the answer is 2. Now question 17 is about similar triangles. We can see that this angle here is the same as this angle here, and it is true that this angle is equal to this angle, and so we do have a case of similar triangles. We have to be careful here because they give us the lengths in a strange way. Here we have the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. I'm going to cross this off and put CD here. And then we have 1800, 1400, 700, and 800. I'm going to cross this off and put it here. Now I can see them in the same order. We have the first, the second, the third, the fourth sides, and then the first, the second, the third, and the fourth sides here. And respectively means that they are in the same order. And so what I will do is set up a ratio that says x over CD, big over small, is equal to big over small. And I'm going to use EB over BD. And so that will become x over CD is the fourth one, so it's 800. This makes it much easier to read the way I rewrote it. And then EB is the second one, so that's 1400. 1400 over, and then the third one is BD, so that's 700. Well, that means that x over 800 is equal to 2, and I know that x has to be 1600, because 1600 divided by 800 is 2. In number 18, what we want to do is we have a system of linear equations, and we're going to use elimination to solve. We're going to subtract the upper equation here from the lower equation here. So x minus x is no x's. 2y minus y is y. And that makes it very simple. This is equal to negative 25 minus negative 9, right there. Negative 25 minus negative 9 is really negative 25 plus 9, and that's negative 16. And then you have x plus y is equal to negative 9. They're asking for x, so we solve. X is equal to negative 9 minus y, but remember that this is y, so we're going to go minus negative 16, which is plus 16, and so x is equal to 7. In number 19, there are two ways to solve it. One way is to just know the formula. The formula is that the sine of x degrees is always equal to the cosine of 90 minus x degrees. And if you know that, then the answer is just simply 4/5, and you're done. However, not all of you may know that formula, although it is good to know it because they do ask it almost once per SAT. You can always draw a triangle, and you can call this x. And if the sine of x is 4/5, that means this is 4, and that's 5. And we call this y. We know that x plus y is equal to 90 degrees, because this is a right triangle. What that means is that 90 minus x is equal to y. So they're looking for the cosine of y. So the cos of y, well, that's just 4/5. Although it was much easier to solve it using this formula. And finally, number 20, if a is 5√2, we take the 5√2 and we plug it in right there for a, because that's what a is equal to. So when something is equal to something else, those two things can be interchanged at any time. 2 times 5√2 is equal to root 2x. And now we'll combine the 2 and the 5 to get 10. 10√2 equals, and then we'll apply the exponent rule, where this becomes root 2 root x. And then we divide both sides by root 2, so the root 2's cancel out. And then we have 10 equals the square root of x, and that makes x equal to 100. Thanks for watching.